So good morning, good afternoon, everyone. For all of you, mostly in India and Asia, and then of course morning to our friends in Canada and other parts of the world. So today's webinar, what we wanted to do was bring in our team and folks who've been supporting us to talk about, the idea behind today's webinar is all around the USMLE exam prep. And for those of you who don't know about USMLE Sarthi, Swati from our team can share links so that you can know about our services in rotations, research, step 1 exam prep and all. And before I move on, I do want to announce that Sarthi is sponsoring the Humans of USMLE conferences in India. They're starting next week, and we can share the link. They are in 5 cities, starting with Ahmedabad. So if you are around, do visit. We have sponsored those events, so they are completely free to you. And you'll get to meet a lot of experts and Sarthi team as well at those venues, and Swati can share the link. So with that, let me just introduce our panel, and I'll go to Nidhi first. So Nidhi, why don't you introduce yourself, and then we'll go to others.
Thank you, Pavan. So I'm an international medical graduate, Nidhi Jain from India. And this year I've matched into internal medicine residency at the University of Connecticut. Currently I'm doing the visa process and I'm in my home country. And I'd like to brief you all about A, step 1 preparation, and B, test taking strategies, because I think the two go hand in hand and are very important to perform well. So I'll begin. So step 1 is actually a 1-day exam, and it is divided into 7 60-minute blocks administered in a 1 8-hour testing session. The number of questions per block can range from anywhere between 38 to 40, and total number of questions for the entire exam would be 280. So it is a very long exam, and you need to prepare your stamina to sit through the entire day, being fresh and focused from beforehand. And although it is now pass and fail, but USMLE Step 1 prep is still the foundation for building the concrete concepts that will be well utilized not only during externships and residency, but also in doing well in the Step 2 CK exam. Average time to prepare for this is 3 to 6 months. And now coming to the resources. So first and foremost, the golden resource is the Uworld Q Bank. And I recommend doing one full pass of the question bank plus all the incorrect questions that you've got. Second is the first aid for the USMLE Step 1. And please take the latest edition for this. So it is a great resource which highlights all the high yield points that must be covered before you enter the examination hall. And it is good for revision purposes. So how you can use this first aid is to quickly revise or go through the topics that you've attempted or studied while reviewing your question bank answers. Okay, and it is a must to do all the NBME and Free 120 and UWSA exams. Now, additional resources which even I used and a lot of students use to memorize the topics or better understand them are like spaced repetition of flashcards, Boards and Beyond videos, Pithoma videos, dirty medicine videos, sketchy micro and sketchy pharma, and divine intervention podcasts. So, however, from all of these, I have felt that doing questions and spaced repetition are the most effective ways to be able to grasp concepts and be able to memorize them. So, recently, USMLE Sarthi has also launched its Flashcards app, and it is very useful in like making new flashcards, and it can help you consolidate your studying material very well and streamline the reviews also. So I would recommend trying it. Other spaced repetition app that I know of is Anki. So Anki is also good. However, you need to develop that habit of doing your reviews every day. Otherwise, it is a waste of time. And however, spaced repetition, although it's very useful, it does not trump doing more questions. So you cannot substitute it for attempting questions and reviewing the answers properly. Now, question banks besides Uworld that you should use are, I recommend, highly recommend Amboss. However, still, Amboss questions are not the perfect set of questions in the sense that the questions you will see on the exam, they are most reflective of the questions you will see in Uworld. So again, Amboss also cannot replace Uworld. That is the golden resource you need to stick to. Some topics that you must do from Amboss QBank are preventive medicine, suicide, death, ethics, vaccination, immunization, palliative medicine, and gender and sexually related disorders, plus the patient communication and counseling, healthcare systems, quality safety, sexual violence, domestic violence, elder abuse, and approach to agitated or violent patients, then grief and end of life counseling. And lastly, hospital-acquired infections, infection prevention and control, and intravascular catheter-related bloodstream infections. These are some topics that you must cover from Amboss as they are not extensively covered in Uworld and they do show up on the exams, both Step 1 and Step 2 exams. All right, now quickly coming to how to study. I faced a lot of problem during this time and I would highly recommend doing the timed test mode always. So practice makes perfect. You need to simulate the exam every day. This is the most crucial step for both Step 1 and Step 2 exams, even for Step 3. So start by doing 2 blocks of random questions in time test mode, and please attempt them with the same intent and focus as you would do on exam day. In the beginning, you may not know the answers to most of the questions, but don't panic, it's all right. Still try to think and try to rule out what doesn't make sense at all and strike it off. This is the key process that will help you build the test taking strategies or test taking skills, which are extremely important for the USMLE exams. Then review the incorrect questions first. Make flashcards or notes or mark the questions as you go through it. But do not try to spend more than 5 to 7 minutes on a single question in one go. Then quickly review your correct questions and add the new findings or high yield things to your notes or flashcards. Here, you have to make conscious efforts that you do not spend more than 2 to 4 minutes for one correct question at all. Now, the topics that you get wrong or are doubtful about in the answers, those topics are the ones that you need to study from video or podcast resources to gain better understanding. I wasted a lot of time during my USMLE prep trying to go through the entire Boards and Beyond library or the entire Pathoma syllabus. Whereas I didn't find it very fruitful when I was attempting the questions, I would still blank out and not be able to answer many questions. So your review syllabus for the day should be the answers you got wrong and were doubtful about, and try to expand on them, try to understand them through any resource, a video resource or a book or anything that is easy for you to grasp. So stop trying to make extensive timetables and schedules, planning to cover everything, okay? To truly learn anything, there has to be a context to which you can relate or apply it. This is a process called priming. When you test your existing baseline knowledge in time test mode on a random set of questions in Uworld, you are giving your brain the best exercise it is requiring to actively recall. It is even better than any spaced repetition then. But you have to build connections between different subjects. You are learning how to improve your focus and build test-taking abilities. So this is what will train you for the main exam day, okay? When you study and understand those topics that you're weak in, you will instantly add points to your performance pool, improve your confidence also, and improve your score also. And then before going to bed or ending the day, just review all the notes or flashcards or the marked answers to quickly solidify whatever you have gained through the day. I recommend this technique, and I feel that this will be very beneficial to you as you go through your preparation. And I would suggest keeping the exams, the UWSAs, free 120s, and latest NBMEs just for the last few weeks before the exam. And always go from the oldest to the newest. And NBMEs are the most representative of the actual USMLE exam, so attempt them in the end, and even the free 120 in the end. That will be reflective of your actual score to the exam. Okay, and do remember to get good enough sleep before the exam, that is at least 8 hours. And always believe in yourself. You have come this far and you will sail through. Okay, just do your best and keep going. That would be all from my side.
Thank you, Nidhi. Very motivating, very inspiring. So appreciate it, and of course, congratulations on a great match. UConn is one of the best ones. So good luck with that. Next up is Vikas. So Vikas, you wanted to talk about mostly resources and tutorship.
My name is Dr. Vikas, okay, and I am tutoring with USMLE students for the last 1 year now, and I'm also tutoring step 1 and step 2, and also I'm associated with Sarthi for tutorial service. Now, I want to discuss something which is very important, and it is discussed over so many platforms, these resources, which resources to use for which exam, right? So we'll start these resources in categorical manner, right? We have two kind of students mostly. The one student who's basically preparing from the second year onwards, right? This is the ideal student, which basically can use first year and Uworld and directly go through the study very easy manner. And sometimes, basically in the time of exam, she or he may require our tutorial to basically just rapidly revise our basically topics which are very high for exam. Now, second group of students who are basically just starting now, right? They may require much more assistance. So we also offer for them a in detail tutorial. And apart from that, the gold standard resources is our Uworld, right? You have to do Uworld, that is mandatory. Uworld is, you can say, gold standard, but some concept will be confused all the time, right? And, there is no research basically can explain you everything, right? So that particular time you may require some assistance, right? And this assistant will help you basically to go very fast physically, right? Because there is something called time period, right? For every exam, you have to invest proper time, and basically your time frame should be clear, right? Otherwise, prolonged time, okay, for the any exam you say, it will basically decrease your score only, right? So you have to properly time frame your exam. You have to make a schedule for this exam, right? Maximum, most of people will take 6 to 7 months, right? So you have to finish this exam in 6 to 7 months. Step one, I will say, if you nowadays what is happening with the step one, because they are ignoring the past step one, right? Because it is being pass fail now, as Dr. Nidhi discussed, it is just pass fail. But the most important point is if you invest your time properly in step one, just not basically for pass fail, you can get very good concept from step one, right? So your step two journey will become very, very simple. And that time you will realize, okay, that if you basically invested time very well in understanding concepts, then medicine, surgery, this part will become little easier, right? Now, what is our role, right? We are designing these courses for rapid revision also. For the second category I mentioned, no, some require some more assistance, right? There also we have some courses offering you. You can check out more in our website, but this is how you have to basically categorize things, right? And you have to also follow this guideline, and basically this timeline is very, very important, I feel. If you finish this exam in proper timeline, then you are good in, basically everything should be in the time frame. Of course, you can delay 1 month, something like that, that is okay, but at least 6 or 7 months is more than enough for most of the exam, right? I feel step one is now given, should be given its important like before only. That will help you in step two only, right? Now this will also help you in step three as well. Why? Because step three is almost this first part is step one and step two combined only, right? So if you invest your time beforehand only, so every journey will become smooth, right? So that is what I want to say. And resources, I would say Uworld is the gold standard. You have to do Uworld. Second thing, you have to do this first aid very, very carefully. Just don't read the first aid. You have to understand, right? This understanding will basically you require some assistance, right? Sometimes you require assistance, sometimes you can go to some resources, right? Now this is where we come into play, right? We for assistance we can help you. Okay, this is a topic you have to remember very, very carefully. This is the concept. This is a topic which has to be basically in detail, right? Because whole first aid to basically remember is not practically possible, right? some aspect from the first aid has to be revised, and there we will help you basically in last part, in starting also and end of the exam also, right? Now coming to the step 2 CK, most of the people say step 2 CK is basically Uworld only, right? Uworld only. But MBOS is also very good for this ethics, social science, psychiatry, right? What is very, very missed point in the step 2 CK is this minor subject, right? Especially psychiatry and immunology. These subjects are asking detail, they are asking in detail, and they are asking very, very few selected things. Right? If you do this in detail, of course you can score very, very high, and this will help you to boost your score, right? Everywhere you are getting same score, you cannot score sometime 250, right? But if you score very, very high in particular one subject, you may go about 250, right? Very easily. So UWorld is the very important. MBOS is one. Of course, bots and beyond you can use, but I personally never used it. Okay, but I feel your tutorial service are basically somewhere you are missing the concept. Like in YouTube, you can search out for small video, and you can understand the concept. Of course, you need to read this UL very, very carefully in and out. If you remember the UL and important concept you remember, then it will be basically you basically through with this exam, right? And of course, you have to practice this CMS, which is run by NBME. Now, for CMS form, I will say the topics you have to figure out. Okay, these are the topics we are asking frequently. And those topics now you have to do again from the UL. So basically, if you revise this much, you will be good with step 2 CK as well. So UL, MBOS, and bots and beyond if required. Okay, and then of course this tutorial will help you a lot. Now, why this tutorial? Because this tutorial will give you proper, everywhere there is videos, right? So it is no point, right? The point is here that you can get what you want, right? Sometimes nobody knows what you are not understood, right? So this here you can come and you can basically tell, okay, this is something I don't understood, so we can explain them later, and that can increase your score, right? If you watch same and same video again, you will not increase score, right? For the increasing score, you require understanding of topic which you have weakness on, right? That is what point of this tutorial is, right? And I think basically we have designed a course in a such way so it will help you all category of students, right? And that's all I have to say actually. And if you have any more question, you can still ask. Okay.
Thank you very much, Vikas. Appreciate it. Now let's go to our third panelist, Rishi Chaudhary. Rishi, are you there?
Yeah. Hi, sir, and hi, everybody here. So like everyone before me has spoken about Step 1 and how Sarthi is helping out with the Step 1 prep. I'll just try to summarize everything. Starting with the first thing, let's start with the first thing instead of Step 1. Let's just tell you that you have to, the first thing which everyone is expected to do is the USMLE registration. How you start from Form 186, go to Form 183 and come to a conclusion and take your scheduling permit for your step exams, be it Step 1 or Step 2. So if you can do it on your own, you can just start it on your own. Otherwise, Sarthi also helps you out right from the scratch till the time you get your scheduling permit and helps you through this process. And now I'll talk about Step 1. Like Nidhi, the previous panelist before me, he summarized very well about
how you have to various resources. I think that's a very good thing. For that, we have something from Sarthi in the form of tutoring, in the form of mentorship, and as USMLE Flashcard app for Step 1. So these are the three things which we offer for Step 1. The first thing, as mentioned by Dr. Vikas in detail about the tutoring process, that how we as tutors will take up different systems according to your need based on how you sign up for it and discuss in great details about each subject or whatever high yield points need to be done. Since we are people who have gone through this process, who have struggled on our own through various videos and multiple resources. So I think we are in a good position to help you out and probably reduce your time. Why I'm saying reduce your time for Step 1? Because like we know, Step 1 is pass fail now, and everyone is just trying to get through Step 1 in the fastest possible manner, in the best possible manner, so that they just pass it and they can give all their attention to Step 2 CK. That's a fine approach. But the thing is, in this process of going through it very fast, people are skipping out a lot of things, missing out on a lot of basics. So I think it's our duty over here to help you out, not to miss out those high yield points and still manage to do it in a faster time frame. All right. So that is what we do through tutoring. Then the other thing which I mentioned was about mentorship. this is something new which the Sarthi team is working upon. As of now, we have decided on a few slots for mentorship. Like some slots would be for 1 hour, some would be for 30 to 45 minutes, and another slot would be for, I think, 5 to 10 hours. It depends on your requirement as such. Oh, before I proceed, I think everyone knows about the free Sarthi review, which free profile review which Sarthi gives out every year for all math students, that you can sign up for it and you can review your profile whenever you want. That gives you a very good insight of what exactly do you need and what lacunae do you have to fill up in your CV. Apart from that, if you need other information like how to plan your step one prep, how to go in various details, how to discuss various subjects, how to address various issues in your NBMEs, whether your NBME scores are on point or you're scoring low, or your Uworld percentages are not rising because of some kind of lacunae or difficulties in your preparation. So all these things are going to be entertained in a great detail in the mentorship, since it's going to be one-on-one. So it's going to be like the complete attention which the mentor gives to a student. So I think that is something you could look into it. We are still going to launch it, and once this is out, I think it'll be good as soon as you can get into it. All right. The last thing which I want to add is the flashcard app. So basically, the Sarthi flashcard app is something which has flashcards based on all the high yield concepts which you will come across in almost all NBMEs for your step one exams. It covers the high yield concepts, and this is for people who want like a last moment revision of all the important points which need to be done, and for people who are not very good with Anki or who have not spent a lot of time through their Anki cards or something like that. So it's like a short version but very high yield, precise and to the point, to just cover what you need, right? So that is something we have to add over here through Sarthi. And I think that's all. If anyone has any doubts, you can put it over.
So thank you very much, Rishi. And let's have your questions, guys. So I do have some questions that have come. So I'm gonna get started, and others can chime in. So maybe Nidhi, I'll go to you. How to set a target date for STEP exams?
How to set a target date for STEP exams?
Yep.
So you have to backdate everything. So if suppose you want to apply this year September, you should ideally be done with step 1 exam and should be preparing for step 2 exam or be done with it. For both exams, I would recommend a 3 to 6 month period. That is good enough to really hone you, and not to extend that period also, because then slowly performance starts deteriorating, like Dr. Vikas said. So you have to hit it right at the crucial point. And that's all I have for the timing.
Okay, so maybe the next question, I'll give it to you and then we'll move. If I'm applying for 2024 match, so which will be, I guess, the applications in September of 23, what is the latest time to give CK? So Nidhi, you want to take it, or Rishi or Vikas? What is the final date you recommend taking CK if someone is applying in September 23?
Could you please repeat the question, sir? I
So,
lost in between.
this is a very common question, right? Someone is applying in September 23 for 24 match. They want to know what is the last date to get done with CK. Is it early August, so that by the time September 27th rolls out, they are actually certified? What is the approximate last date?
Right. I think second week of August should be like your deadline. That it's like second week of August is now or never kind of deadline. First week of August is something which will keep you in a safe zone, and beyond that, it's all like you're just trying your luck everywhere to have everything on time. So this is the important part over here that we are talking about. What is there on time? Of course, you might have heard of stories of people applying late, giving their shortage, but it's totally on you. But when it comes to on time, second week is like your deadline to go by.
Okay. Maybe you can take the next question also. How long does ECFMG certificate last? So validity of ECFMG certification.
Okay, so I think like I got my ECFMG certificate in 2022, and the certificate says it's till 2024. This was some one-time kind of thing because of OET, but now I think it's going to be forever. OET is here to stay. There is going to be no step 2 CS, and even if the validation is till 2024, it's going to be forever once you match. And I think for people who didn't match, ECFMG has given out a notification that they'll extend the eligibility of the certificate for another match cycle. So this was there because of the COVID process, but before this, your ECFMG certificate was something which is a document valid for a lifetime. So don't worry about it right now. Like at least for 2-3 years, it will be valid till the math cycle, whichever math cycle you take.
Okay. So Vikas, let me go to you. When is the ideal time to give step 1? I am in the 3rd year of MBBS, or should I give after internship?
It is the best, no, if somebody can give in the second year after third year, it is the best, ideal, most ideal thing to do, right? So if you give in the third year, that is the best one, right? After internship, you can go for step to CK. So this is most ideal thing to try after third year, right? If somebody is starting their journey in third year, that is the best one, right? I would recommend in the third year only give the step 1 exam, right? That is the best one.
Okay. All right, let's see what other questions. How to network and build connections for diagnostic radiology. So let me take that. So, some of these specialties, radiology, dermatology, ortho, surgery, they are very difficult for IMGs. But the good thing is IMGs have been matching in this. This is opening up. So in terms of what is needed in these specialties is a lot of research. So you cannot avoid research in radiology, for example. So try US research, that helps. And then what you need to do is relevant USCE. So radiology, for example, you could do first year, as you know, it's a preliminary year as well. So you could do rotations in preliminary or transitional programs, maybe around general surgery, but high scores in CK now and US research will definitely help you in radiology. We have also seen a lot of our students match in radiology who have home country residency. So if you have home country residency, that helps. So Nidhi, this question is for you. It says, I hope you're doing well. I wanted to ask you whether to start Uworld right from day 1 of prep and then learn the topics accordingly, or should I prepare the topics first and start with Uworld?
So hi Tulsi, yeah, I see your question. I would definitely recommend starting Uworld from day 1, although even I didn't do that, but I suffered a lot and delayed my exam because of it a lot. And the sole reason is to be able to build the test taking skills that you will be mostly needing. Like it is the most crucial thing. Like if you don't have that much knowledge also, but you know how to rule out the options, you're going to perform well. And that can only be done by practicing questions, no other way. In addition to that, I also wanted to share that, some of you can also ask, what about the new topics that you've gotten wrong and just learned? How are you going to, apply them? So, do you need a separate set of questions dedicated only to your weak areas? So for that, I think it is a good idea to do a block of questions which are dedicated only to your weak topics, but I would recommend doing it from another Q bank like AMBOSS. Or, if USMLE Sarthi has developed a new Q bank, you can always attempt new questions from any other resource. But do not mess up the question pool of Uworld. So there are around 3,500 to 4,000 questions in Uworld. Even if you do one full pass of it and then try to do it again, it is not possible for a normal person usually to remember all those answers and have that biased score performance. So be confident that random questions only is going to better prepare you for the exam, especially in the timed test mode. And for weak topics, if you really want, you can attempt from other question banks. That will be most helpful, I think.
Okay, thank you. I'll take the next question because this comes very often. How many publications do you need for IM match? And so, a couple of things you all have to understand. It is not the quantity, but the quality that generally matters. So you can have 10 publications on your CV and still not match. Because there are a lot of factors, the impact factor of the journal and what your role was. So focus on the quality. If you are going for IM, and especially some of these clinical specialties have started to pay a lot of attention on research. So if you can start in med school, doing some research projects or ICMR and things like that, that helps. And then as you come here for rotations, work with the faculty on maybe case reports, maybe submitting some posters, but focus on high quality impact journals or conferences. Say for example, ASH, American Society of Hematology, then there are GI, cardiology, all these conferences. Those would be your best bet. In terms of the numbers, I would say if you have good 2 to 3, that is more than enough. I mean, that should take you through. Okay, let me see other questions. Can we apply to pathways after September? I think pathways will open in June. So you should apply to pathways as soon as they open, right, Nidhi? Not delaying till September.
I remember asking this question so many times to Pavan sir only because I was in the same boat. And yes, so because of all the guidance that I got from him, I gave my step 2 exam in May, made sure I gave it before the end of May so that because Pathways application takes another 6 to 8 weeks to send the ECFMG certificate. And you don't want to be that stressed out when you're making your application through September. So try to do it as soon as possible.
Okay. I think that was all right. So Rishi, maybe you can take this. Please elaborate what means, and Vikas, maybe you too, what it means by networking and building connections which help in match. I'll give you my 2 cents, but Rishi, why don't you take this question?
Right. So I think with the entire scenario for the math cycle shifting to a virtual kind of cycle, networking, building contacts, having attendings vouching for you is something that should become like a normal thing and a part and parcel of all your rotations. Why I'm saying this? Because to cross a entire barricade of, let's just say, 6 to 7,000 applicants for like internal medicine, for example, you at times you do need someone to put in a good word for you to get your application noticed and help you get in a shot. So I can also take my example. So I matched into a combined internal medicine and pediatrics program. So very few international medical graduates get into combined specialties. But I think how I put my foot through this was I found one of my senior who kind of guided me through the whole process. Then he helped me get a rotation at one of the institutes where I worked for, I think, around 6 weeks. And fortunately, that is how I ended up matching at that place only. So that is my story of networking. And I think it should be a part and parcel of your match cycle.
Vikas, what are your thoughts on this?
I think that I'm not the person to discuss this. I have never, understood this part. No, that's why. I'm going through this process. No.
That's fine. I thought you started networking, but it's okay. So as Rishi said, networking and outreach are very important, and the definition is very different from what we may be used to in India and other countries. It is not like quote unquote approach or these kind of things. These are professional networks. Think of it as your professional support system. You have to perform, and then you have to, in a very professional way, ask for more opportunities. It could be in other hospitals through your seniors, it could be through other attendings that you work with. So it comes with practice. I would say start with LinkedIn. That's always a great opportunity. A lot of programs are on Twitter. That's another one. And don't forget the power of peer-to-peer networking. The other students who are in the same shoes, working with you, so you can all help each other. So there are two levels you have to think. You have to think at the student and your group level, and then you have to think at your alumni or the program kind of level. And if you join Sarthi, we have classes on this when you get to that. Okay, next question. I'll take that. If someone is working as a research assistant for almost a year and has no publications, can we put that on CV? So if you're working as a research assistant, you absolutely will have to put it on the CV. Otherwise, the CV will have gaps, assuming this is a full-time position. So yes, you'll have to put it on the CV. If you have no publication, that is kind of not good in 1 year. But then you have to maybe package other things that you've learned there. Maybe it's about learning some statistical tools. Maybe it is about doing some secondary research, some other analysis that you worked with the team, even if it did not get published. So, but I think you definitely will need to put it on the CV. So there's one question, and maybe Nidhi, you can take it. Do you recommend Divine Intervention podcast for a few topics for CK, especially if you're on tight schedule?
If you're on I recommend Divine Intervention podcasts. They're very helpful for any weak topics. You can definitely listen to the podcasts. If you're especially on a tight schedule, I found it very useful while, driving in the car or going to work. I would put on the podcast and listen to it. So that's a way you can accommodate that into your busy schedule and cover those topics.
Yeah. Maybe Vikas, you can take this. I'm in the final year MBBS. I have 1 year of internship, 2 years of bond and MBBS. So when is the ideal time to start the journey? So they are in final year and then they have a 2-year bond.
But always ideal time is now only, right? When you start now, that's ideal time, right? That is the most ideal time actually. When you think and you start, right? Now, because in internship sometimes it is hectic, it may be not possible for some person, right? So of course, in the bond period, it depends on how basically PhD and CSC work, right? If you have time, just start journey now, and you can apply later on. Because anyway, if you can at least invest 2-3 hours, that is more than enough for 6 months, right? 6-7 years, 6-7 months, you can invest 3-4 hours, more than for step one, right? So you can start with step one, then in bond period you can give step two, right? And then after you can apply for step three, right? This is, if you start now, that is the best thing I would advise.
Okay. So Nidhi or Rishi, difference between ECFMG verified versus certified?
Okay, so I think whenever you start your application for USMLE, like enter the journey, start your form 186, it says certification for ECFMG. So most of the people, when they complete their form 186 and 183, they think that they're ECFMG certified. No, it's just a start. Your credentials are just verified. That is something which is called ECFMG verified. And another way of putting ECFMG verified is when you're done with all your things, requirements for pathway and all, they give you the that's referred to as ECFMG certified. The in the end, when you're done with all your pathways and everything is verified and you get your ECFMG certificate, that is when you're called as ECFMG certified. But the verification part is probably the initial part where you start the procedure. That's all.
Okay. Vikas, maybe you take the next one. I failed my step one. Can you suggest some methods to overcome the situation and pass the exam? I studied for 4 months, first aid and Uworld.
Okay, so this is this is the step one phase and I'm getting frequently nowadays. So the thing is, when you fail for the first time, right? So mostly initially you will lack this motivation to study on, right? But afterwards, you have to realize, mostly what is most one problem I have identified. The most problem is they don't go through this Uworld hole, right? Whole Uworld they don't go through. They try to basically make a fast track, right? And always, perpendicular distance is shortest, right? Not the other way around, right? So if you do Uworld properly one time, or basically and other time, basically general, this objective, it will be more than enough. And revise this first day 2-3 times. That is more than enough. Okay, it will be never possible to fail if you revise 2-3 times this first day. You will at least one time very thorough, right? That is more than enough actually. Just do it conceptually. That is more than enough.
Okay. Let me take the next question. Can we apply for both IM and FM with rotations and PS in both? So for those of you who are starting your journey, you got to understand that the ERAS CV, this is your resume, which will not change, right? So the CV will not change when you apply. It's a format, it's a structure, and it will not change. You cannot make changes once you do that. What you can do is change your personal statements and maybe have different letters of recommendations. Now, these questions come very often. Can I apply to multiple specialties? So technically, nothing stops you from applying to multiple specialties, and some things go hand in hand. So for example, family medicine and IM primary care, they are very similar, and they can go together. Psych and neuro tend to go together. So these, neuro and radio, depending on your research, can go together. So some of these you can probably apply if you have different LORs or different personal statement, but otherwise it becomes very hard to manage multiple specialties, because it's not only putting in the application, it is also then following up with the programs, telling them how you are committed to that specialty, how passionate you are. So think of it as building your entire portfolio towards a specialty. It becomes very hard, and generally we don't recommend it unless there are special circumstances. Can you share your views on IM and emergency medicine combined? Okay, so this emergency medicine is a new thing that has come up, and I'll tell you why this has come up. This has come up because in the last season, 550 spots in emergency medicine went unfilled. And EM is historically been an AMG friendly specialty. Now, is that a trend that EM will American grads are moving away from EM? We don't know. We'll have to see in the next couple of seasons. It may be because of the COVID and the high stress and all that they moved away from emergency medicine. We don't know yet, right? So trends keep on changing. Pathology, for example, has suddenly become more competitive. Spots were lower in this season and more AMGs applied. When it comes to IM-EM combined application, hard to pull off unless, of course, you have, again, relevant experience in both. So for example, if during COVID times you were in India, inpatient setting and all that, then yes, probably you can swing the EM experience, the wave 1 or wave 2, which was very bad. And if you manage that in your hospital, probably you can do EM also. But again, it's on a case-to-case basis. Okay. So there are requests for other webinars, and yes, we will do that. Again, try to attend our these conferences in India in the coming weeks, and we'll have more information on that. But I think we've answered most of the questions. One last question, maybe. What is the role of research fellowships in matching? What addition does it do to the CV? So are you talking of a fellowship in US? Are you talking, I don't know what a research fellowship means. So if you are doing a fellowship in US, so certain specialties, you can actually do fellowship in US without residency: geriatrics, nephrology, things like that. But it's not easy to get those fellowships. They will really look for home country residency first and very strong research experience. So we'll probably take this up in a different webinar. I'm sorry to repeat, is it possible to get matched with multiple attempts? It is possible. A lot of factors go in. There are several videos on our YouTube channel with students with multiple attempts, but each attempt make it harder. And then we have to really look at the specialty you are trying to match into. So it is possible, but which specialty and what is the year of graduation, what is the visa, etc. All that comes into play. With that, I think that's pretty much it for the webinar. Thank you very much to all the panelists, Rishi, Nidhi, Vikas. Appreciate your time. And thank you, everyone. And we'll be in touch with more and more of these webinars to help you. Thanks, everyone.